Here's something almost no one tells new AI users, and it's the single biggest difference between someone who gets extraordinary results from AI and someone who gets mediocre ones. It comes down to understanding one thing: tokens. Now, before you think about switching to ChatGPT to avoid this, here's the thing. ChatGPT runs on tokens. Gemini runs on tokens. Every major AI tool you will ever use runs on tokens. This is not a Claude thing. This is how all large language models work everywhere. So the people who understand tokens don't just get more out of Claude, they get more out of every AI tool they touch. That's what this video is about. My name is Jack, and this is AI Lessons. By the end of this video, you'll understand what a token is, why it matters, and exactly what to do to get dramatically better results from Claude and any AI starting today. A token is the basic unit of text that AI models like Claude read and generate. It's not exactly a word. It's not exactly a character. It sits somewhere in between, roughly 3 to 4 characters of English text per token. Common short words like the and is are typically single tokens. Longer or less common words get split into multiple tokens. Technical terms, code, and non-English languages use more tokens per word than plain English. Now here's why this matters to you directly. Every AI has a limit on how many tokens it can handle at once. This is called the context window. Claude's context window is 200,000 tokens on paid plans. That's the equivalent of around 500 pages of text. That's generous. But it's not unlimited, and once you understand how tokens get consumed, you can make that space work for you far more effectively. There are 2 types of tokens: input tokens, everything Claude receives, including your question, attached files, and conversation history, and output tokens, which are what Claude generates back to you. Here's a useful insight. Output tokens cost 5 times more than input tokens on the API. This means that when you ask Claude to write as much as you can about this topic, you are asking it to generate the most expensive kind of tokens possible. When you say, "Give me a 3-sentence summary," you're being efficient. The people who understand this write better prompts and spend a fraction of what uninformed users spend for the same quality of work. Here's something that surprises most new users. Every time you send a message to Claude, it doesn't just read your new message. It reads the entire conversation from the very beginning, every single time. That's actually a feature, not a bug. It's why Claude can reference things you said 20 messages ago. But it does mean that as conversations grow longer, the token count grows with them. That's actually a feature, not a bug. It's why Claude can reference things you said 20 messages ago. But it does mean that as conversations grow longer, the token count grows with them. A fresh conversation with a simple question might use 300 tokens. That same question inside a long session might use 15,000 because Claude is rereading everything before it. Reserve long conversations for work that genuinely benefits from accumulated context, a writing project, a deep research session, a multi-step analysis. This isn't a limitation, it's a workflow habit that immediately makes you more efficient. Now I want to share the single most impactful insight from this entire video, because it's one of those things where once you know it, you cannot unknow it. When you upload a screenshot to Claude, a photo of an error message, a picture of a user interface, a screen capture of a spreadsheet, Claude processes it as an image, and images consume dramatically more tokens than text. According to Anthropic's own documentation, a standard image sent to Claude consumes approximately 1,500 tokens. On newer high-resolution models, that can reach nearly 5,000 tokens per image. Now compare that to typing out the same information as text, which might use 50 tokens. Here's the practical example. You get an error message, error 404, page not found at path users-settings. You screenshot it and upload it. 1,500 tokens. You type those same words, 10 tokens, 150 times the cost for identical information. The same principle applies to large documents. A 50-page PDF can consume between 75,000 and 150,000 tokens before you've asked a single question. Paste only the relevant sections as plain text instead, and you've just freed up an enormous amount of your context window for actual work. The positive flip side of this is significant. Users who know this tip consistently get more work done per session than users who don't on every AI platform, not just Claude. It's free performance. Let's talk about the habits of people who get consistently excellent results from AI. The first habit is precision. Experienced AI users skip the filler. They don't write, "Hi Claude, I hope you can help me today. I have a question about emails." They write a professional apology email to a client for a 2-day delay under 5 sentences. Both prompts produce the same output. The second one uses a fraction of the tokens and actually gets a better result because clearer instructions produce better responses. The second habit is output control. Telling Claude how long or what format you want, 3 bullet points, 1 paragraph, a numbered list of 5 items, does 2 things simultaneously. It saves output tokens and it makes the response more useful. You get more and spend less. The third habit is model matching. Claude offers different models at different price points and capability levels. Sonnet is fast, capable, and significantly more affordable than Opus. For everyday tasks, drafting, summarizing, answering questions, Sonnet is the right choice. Opus is for the genuinely complex work where you need maximum capability. Matching your model to your task is like choosing the right tool from a toolbox. It doesn't mean settling for less. It means being smart. Now here's where Claude genuinely pulls ahead, and where understanding tokens gives you a real competitive advantage. Most AI users repeat themselves constantly. They paste the same company guidelines, the same project background, the same standard instructions into every single conversation, paying full price for that context every time, on every platform. Claude has a feature that changes this completely: Projects, powered by prompt caching. Here's how it works. When you add files, instructions, or background information to a project in Claude, that content gets cached, stored in a pre-processed state. The next time any conversation in that project needs it, Claude reads from the cache instead of processing it from scratch. According to Anthropic's official documentation, cached content costs 90% less than standard input tokens. Let that sink in. The context you use most often, your company guidelines, your brand voice, your reference documents, your standard instructions, costs 10 cents on the dollar compared to what you'd pay sending it fresh every time. In practical terms, create a project for any recurring work: your marketing project, your coding project, your client account. Add the relevant background once. Every conversation you have inside that project pulls from the cache automatically, without you doing anything extra. This is one of those features that sounds like a minor convenience, but is actually a major structural advantage. And because it's built directly into Claude, it works without any technical setup. You don't need to be a developer to benefit from it. Projects also give Claude consistency across your conversations. Because the same background context is always available, Claude's tone, style, and understanding of your work stays coherent over time. That's not just a token saving, that's a quality improvement. For those of you using Claude with connected integrations, tools like calendars, file systems, databases, or external services, there's one more thing worth knowing. Every tool you connect to Claude adds tokens to every request, even if you never use those tools in a particular conversation. Each tool definition, with its name, description, and parameters, can consume hundreds to thousands of tokens per message. Anthropic's own documentation recommends loading tools on demand. Only make a tool available when you're actually about to use it. This approach can cut tool-related token overhead by up to 85% in complex workflows. The benefit of doing this isn't just cost. Fewer tools in context also means Claude makes fewer wrong tool selections. Your automations become more accurate and more efficient at the same time. Let's bring this together. Every AI tool you use, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, any of them, runs on tokens. That is not going to change. It's the fundamental architecture of how these models work. But here's what that means for you. The people who understand tokens have a permanent advantage over those who don't, on every platform forever. You now know that typing beats screenshots by a factor of 150 to 1. You know that fresh conversations are more efficient for fresh tasks. You know that constraining your outputs saves money and improves quality simultaneously. You know that projects make your most used context 90% cheaper. And you know to match your model to your task rather than defaulting to the most powerful option every time. None of this is complicated. It's just knowledge. And now you have it. Follow AI Lessons for more videos like this. I'm Jack, and I'll see you in the next one.